All right, everyone. Welcome to the MMOs.com podcast, episode 180, an auspicious number. And I am joined by
Altay.
And I'm Altay.
Another week.
I didn't say that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, in case you forgot, you never know. Maybe you shift it around, to mix them up every week. Been another week in the MMO world, and been a pretty uneventful week. Nothing too major. I've been playing a bit of Final Fantasy 14 as I usually do. Finished my raids there finally. Took a big break out of it, and just finally got around to finishing all the current content. And I've been playing Smash Ultimate a decent amount this last week, and played through a few older RPG Maker horror games, stuff like Witch's House. Great game, by the way. Strongly recommend. But that's been my week, Altay. What have you been up to?
I thought you played Witch's House already.
I did, and it's been
you replayed it.
6 years. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of raids, WoW released their new raid today, but I am not subscribed, and I will not be resubscribing until Vanilla comes out later this year. At which time, I'm actually I'm kind of looking forward to playing both Vanilla and maybe an hour a day or 2 hours a week, going on retail and just doing my little checklist of nonsense. So that'd be cool. Like 2 MMOs in one because they're so different now.
Yeah,
but
you can't compare retail to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Besides that, I actually hooked up the PS4 in my room. I'm gonna go back to playing Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a single-player console game. And
that sounds like a normie game.
Yeah.
It sounds like you talk to me about a mainstream PS4 game for normies, and I'll tell you Horizon Zero Dawn. All right.
I don't know.
Give me that weeb shit.
Female
give me
protagonist.
that
right?
Give me that big anime titty weeb shit instead. All right. Give me that shit. All right. Hook me up.
No,
I've heard good things about Horizon.
Yeah, it does look good. It's it combines sci-fi with fantasy. You're hunting with a bow and arrow, but you're hunting instead of ostriches, you're fighting robot ostriches.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll see how that goes. Yeah, hopefully I'll use it a little.
Now, I don't think we have a weekly raid this week, but we do have a big bit of news to go through. We have the Superdata Year in Review 2018. Superdata releases their nice little infographic-filled PDF with tons of interesting data about the entire gaming universe and a lot about MMORPGs, MMOs, free-to-play games in specific. So it'd be cool to run through that.
Sure, I got the PDF here. Let's run through it together here.
Yeah.
All right, so this is like you said, their year in review for 2018. And remember, guys, Superdata only looks at digital, right? So console is going to look smaller here than it really is overall because, remember, this is only digital spending on consoles, which is still, I would say, it's probably half and half at this point, but it's still going to underrepresent it overall.
So it's not counting all the physical stuff you'd buy at GameStop. Instead, it's just counting the stuff you'd buy from the PS4 store, the PlayStation store, the Xbox, Live store. So no physical copies are included on here, which of course for PC is basically nothing. When was the last time you saw a boxed copy of a PC game? Ready? Never. Okay. Right. Our GameStop used to have a small PC game section where they sold Diablo 2, like 4 years ago. You could actually buy Diablo 2 at our GameStop 4 years ago. Obviously, no one's going to do that now. But yeah, you can't really buy PC games anymore. But console is still, physical copies are still kind of a big deal.
But we should also note that this does count microtransactions for console. So a lot of more and more console games now are having microtransactions, and those are digital. So this report does capture that. All right. So with that in mind, let's look at some big raw data numbers here. So 61 billion is mobile, 35 billion is PC, and 12 billion is console here.
Ooh, 61.3 billion bones on the mobile front, and that number is of course continuing to increase year over year. It is absolutely insane. 61 billion bucks going to mobile.
And yeah, which as you can see is bigger than the other two combined. So bigger than PC, as we all know by now. All right, so that's big data here. Let's go down a little here.
I find that the chart on number 7 looks pretty interesting because it shows you mobile in comparison to free-to-play PC versus premium PC, as well as a pay-to-play PC, which is pretty crazy because free-to-play PC is basically the entire market now. I remember even when we first started doing MMO stuff, free-to-play was kind of niche. And 8 years ago, 9 years ago, before League really took off, Dota really took off, free to play was always kind of this weird niche. It was kind of big in Asia, not so big in America. But even today, free to play is the preeminent business model for Western games too, like Fortnite, League of Legends, Dota 2, now CS:GO as well. And these are some of the best selling games ever on the PC. So it's not just an Asian phenomenon anymore. Free to play just makes more money. Objectively, just makes more money. The market is just so much bigger now for free to play PC. versus premium PC. For this difference between pay to play PC, I think is going to be counting all subscription based games. Premium PC is going to be counting basically any typical buy to play game.
I'm actually really interested this year, 2019, in free to play console. I think we're going to see a lot of growth there, and already we can see free to play console here, $2 billion, and I suspect actually most of it, the whole category is Fortnite.
It's Fortnite, yeah, of course.
But
what else are people playing free to play? They're playing Terra on console. Why would you play Terra on console? The game is like 1 year behind the PC version. I don't understand that. Like, why do you release a game like? It's just so weird to have that gap that large. They just released like the Valkyrie class, I think, on consoles when the Valkyrie's been out since like a year ago on the PC. Like, that's insane. If the gap is like 1 month, which I think Path of Exile does a pretty good job with it, and a few other, I think Neverwinter is usually 1 or 2 months behind.
How's Warframe with that? I'm curious.
I don't know about Warframe. Usually they're not bad either because it usually comes out within a month or two at most. Yeah, the worst offender here is Terra, I think.
I didn't know that actually was that far behind. That's crazy. But I do think, like I said, I think Warframe Path of Exile is coming out next month for PS4. I think we're going to see that number grow. I think Black Desert Online is coming out this month or next month, whenever, for a console. Yeah. So I think this number is going to grow the most as a percentage in 2019.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're going to go from $2 billion to maybe, I think a guess. I'll say $6 billion. So a triple from here. What do you think?
A triple by next year?
Yeah, free to play console.
Whew. So you're going to tell me that it's good? I don't buy it because look how big premium console is, which is basically the typical business model on consoles. You buy the game for $60, whether it's Call of Duty, whatever it is. So I don't think it's going to come even close to the premium console market in 1 year. I'm going to say it'll be 3.5 billion, and I think that's even on the high side.
Right.
Because it's going to be mostly Fortnite. I mean, also it kind of determines like, does Fortnite start shrinking in 2018, or does it keep growing massively? If it keeps growing, then there's a chance to hit my 3.5 number. Otherwise, I don't think Black Desert is going to make that big of a dent. Like Black Desert, as much as we talk about in this podcast, is just not a huge game in the scheme of this entire industry report. We looked at the numbers on Black Desert on the PC versus console. Like in 3 months, the current Black Desert mobile makes 3 times as much money as the PC version, and even that isn't like a giant number for mobile. So the PC Black Desert Online is actually really small fries. I think I pulled the number out of curiosity real quick because I put up the article on MMOs.com earlier, and even on the let's see.
You love the stat. You always bring this one up.
Yeah, it's insane just how much money Black Desert makes. That's why. It just shows me like for a game that captures like this much of like the MMORPG mindshare, like Black Desert Online is still like the only MMORPG that launched in the last last 2 years in the West. That's like that's anything really. Like we've had nothing in the last few years on the MMORPG front. Nothing. So PC Online makes about $26.3 million. Looks like 29.7. Let's see. Yeah. Made $26.3 million in revenue last quarter. So it makes less than $10 million a month. All of Black Desert on the PC. $10 million a month. That's chump change, unfortunately. Whereas the mobile version makes a solid $30 million a month or so.
All right, let's move on to the next chart here. What do we got here? Okay, this is by region, which I think is really interesting too. So obviously, mobile is the biggest everywhere, but look at how much bigger of a market Asia is compared to North America and Europe.
Yeah, but I think Asia in general is a bigger market as well. Like, is there a ratio between like the purple line, which is free to play PC, and the red line bigger in Asia? Not really. They look very similar to me. Look at 2018 is like it looks like I'm gonna do the rough by my finger estimate on the PDF. It looks like it should be like 4 or 5 fingers over there, versus like comparing. They're very similar. It seems, doesn't it?
Yeah. The only difference between the ratios is when it comes to console. As you'll see, there's basically no free to play console in Asia, and even console itself is tiny.
It just somebody asked, why are people using a weaker platform like mobile? It's not about weak or strength. It's about accessibility as well. Everyone's got a phone these days, and not everyone's got a good PC as well. And it just I don't know. People's PCs are outdated, and
don't you have a phone?
Don't you have a phone, bro? Like. The only advantage I would say to using a phone is actually playing card games. Have you played Shadowverse or Hearthstone? I think they're actually more fun to play on phone. Just not to make a deck, by the way. Making a deck is god awful. You can't do it on the phone, right? But like just playing a deck you already have, the touch controls feel like more intuitive because like you're touching the cards almost like drag and drop them. It just works. It works really well. But that's it. Like for any other platform, nothing feels good on mobile besides that in my mind. All right. Yeah. Plus, be able to play games on your commute too is one. Plus, people like gambling as well, and a lot of loot box mechanics are very gambling-esque.
All right, this is a fun page right here, guys. So top free-to-play games by revenue in 2018. Big bold numbers here, and this is all platforms. Fortnite is number 1 at $2.4 billion of revenue, and then we got Dungeon Fighter Online, which is an old classic MMORPG, 1.5 billion. League of Legends 1.4, so it's number 3. So for many years, League of Legends was number 1 for top grossing by revenue. And it's been dethroned down to bronze over there. Bronze League.
If I remember correctly, League of Legends was about 1.8 billion in 2017's free to play, year in review. Could be off by a little bit, but I think it was 1.8. So it's lost like a little over 20% of its revenue, which is quite a big deal. This is the first year we saw a big dip in League of Legends. Prior to this, the game was pretty much growing every single year. This is the first time League has stopped growing and has actually shrunk. And obviously, we don't know the player base numbers. But obviously, if the revenue is going down, the player base is also going down. Typically, I would say revenue, like the average revenue per user increases over time. So they're actually monetizing players better. So the dip in player base is probably higher than the percentage dip in its revenue.
More importantly, League of Legends, dead game?
Not quite yet. I don't think so.
All right, it's a dead game. Let's move on. Pokemon Go. Oh, hold up. Here's how you know it's a dead game, right? Pokemon Go made almost the same amount of money as League of Legends.
I think Pokemon Go is just remarkably successful. People don't realize that. All right, that's the thing. All right, Pokemon Go is still minting money. Now, it's also worth mentioning, too, the number 6 game on this list, Honor of Kings, also called Arena of Valor in China. I don't think this 1.3 figure is actually correct. It's very tough for these companies, whether it's Superdata, Sensor Tower, or any of these, analytics firms to estimate the Chinese revenues. Because in China, like in America, the way the App Store works is you have Google Play Store and the App Store for iOS. That's it. Whereas in China, there's the iOS Store, and then Google Play Store, and then a billion other app stores, whether it's the Tencent App Store, the Baidu App Store, the Sina App Store. There's so many different app stores. And they do that to circumvent the revenue share that Google wants. So it's very hard to estimate this. I think if you look at the actual, Bloomberg report on these figures as well, that Honor of Kings in last year was making like every quarter was making like $800 million, which would put the number at over 3 billion, something crazy, right? And I looked at the Sensor Tower's own mobile report, and it pegged the number quite a bit higher than the 1.3 billion that we see on this chart. So the Honor of Kings figure, I don't think is gonna be accurate.
Fair enough, but if we look at overall, how many of these titles in the top 10 are mobile? I'm gonna start at the bottom here. Clash Royale mobile, Monster Strike mobile, Candy Crush mobile, Fate Grand Order mobile, Honor of Kings mobile. So that's 5.
Pokemon Go.
Well, yeah, Pokemon Go 6. So 6 are mobile, and then Crossfire is PC, League of Legends PC, Dungeon Fighter Online PC, and Fortnite, I guess, is split, all 3. But definitely, mobile has ascended. All right, half of the top 10 is mobile.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, actually. Actually, this chart brings back to a previous conversation Altay and I had, where Altay basically told me, and I'm sure people in the podcast remember, that Asians just have poor taste and they can't make video games. You remember that, Altay? And that you said Westerners just have better taste, superior taste, and generally play better games. I'm going to challenge you on that.
All right, challenge me.
And we're going to compare these games. Right? These are the best. So look at the mobile games on this list that are top grossing, right?
Yeah.
You got Monster Strike, Fate Grand Order. So Candy Crush and Clash Royale are the only games on this list that are, Western developed, right? I'm going to show you the best-selling mobile games by U.S. audiences. All right, Altay? And you're gonna ship bricks because the games that the Americans play on mobile are actually god awful. The popular American games are actually so much worse.
I said Westerners.
Sure. Okay.
I think Clash Royale is a Western play game, right?
Sure. Yeah. Clash Royale, I would say, is one of the only ones. Yes, I agree. That's one of the only good ones. So let me find this. Gotta move my mobile Ragnarok away. I don't know why I still have that running. I gotta find where I hid this. It's pretty remarkable though. These games are so bad. The ones that they're popular in the West. Yeah. As soon as I find it.
I'll scroll down a little. Look at another chart here. Premium games. This means basically the $50, $60 games you buy. Non-existent in Asia. Big in North America and Europe. You found it somewhere. All right,
yep. Take a look. So look at these games. All right.
So what am I?
So the only games I'm gonna say are half decent on this list are Clash Royale, Roblox Mobile, and that's it. I think that's all I got over here. So look at
Fortnite. What's wrong with Fortnite?
Fortnite's fine too. Fortnite's fine. So those games, Americans are playing Gardenscape. You know what Gardenscape is? Why do you put a video on?
Hold up.
Gardens. Let's see what the American kids are into these days versus those. You were making fun of Japanese and Korean players playing fake Grand Order. Look at this game.
I will look at this game.
This is the peak of American ingenuity when it comes to mobile gaming. All right.
First of all, let's start with the top. What? Candy Crush Saga, right, is not for what it's trying to do. Okay, it's your 40-year-old mom playing, Bejeweled. It's not bad. It doesn't. You don't have to pay, too much money. You play the game. You lose. You wait. All right, that's it. But anyway, fine. Let's go look at Gardenscapes. Oh,
my mom plays Gardenscape.
I never even heard of this.
Yeah, you didn't. Look, the thing I looked at Slot Mania. Slot Mania is just basically a slot machine that you play with fake money, which I'm pretty sure you can spend real money on, right? Gardenscape and Homescapes are absolute jokes. They're nonsense.
What is that? I can't even tell. Like, what am I doing?
Well, it looks like some kind of.
Is it Farmville?
It looks like Farmville to me. Yeah.
Like Farmville.
So these are the games Americans are playing. By the way, you were telling me in a previous podcast that those Japanese, Korean, and Chinese have bad taste. I'm sorry, Altay, but Fake Grand Order is an infinitely better game than Homescape or Gardenscape. All right, these games are like.
I disagree.
These are worse than auto-playing mobile RPGs.
Who's
these are
playing
worse.
this? Hold on, grandmas are playing this, right?
Well, these are the best.
Yeah.
These are the most highest-grossing games in 2018 in the U.S. and Canada.
Now, obviously, a 40-year-old, 50-year-old, housewife is not going to play like Arena of Valor, right?
Sure.
Okay. So, but the fact that in America, our old people are playing mobile, right? I think is good. Our young people are playing real games like League and stuff. So only our slow people are playing mobile games. Whereas in Asia, the 20-year-olds are playing mobile. That's worse.
The mobile game scene in America is actually pretty bad, is the problem. Can you name a good American-developed mobile game? Don't worry, I'll give you a minute. Go. Can you think of one good American-developed?
Candy Crush. Gold.
Fine, give me another one.
Candy Crush Soda Saga.
No, don't give me.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Don't give me this Bejeweled stuff.
Candy Crush Friend Saga.
No, get that Candy Crush shit out of here. Right?
I got Candy Crush today.
Can you give me one non-Candy Crush American-developed mobile game? That's good. You can't. Maybe you can be Clash Royale, but that's not American-developed. America's a giant market for video games.
Fortnite. Thank you, Zach Gore. You saved me.
All right, that's a PC game ported. I ain't counting it. I ain't giving you Fortnite. That's a PC game. You got anything for mobile?
What's wrong with Fortnite? It's PC. I mean, it's mobile.
It's PC. Yeah, it's PC. That's why.
And mobile.
Like old school RuneScape 2 is a good game, but again, that's a PC game. I'm not counting it. It just seems like there are no
Minecraft. There you go. Boom.
Again, it's a PC game that was ported to mobile. Americans make some of the world's best video games and most successful video games. Games like CS:GO, really games like League of Legends. Okay, games like Fortnite.
Old school RuneScape. There we go. Our mobile game of the year at MMOs.com.
That is also a UK developed game by Jagex. Okay, so by the way, American game industry is like the biggest. One of the it's like they're known for turning out big hits. It's just remarkable how we aren't well represented in mobile.
I mean, that's a good thing.
So you can't name one American, but that you can't say all these Korean games are shit because our American equivalents are even worse. I'd rather play any of those auto playing mobile. I'd rather play Lineage Mobile, Lineage 2 M, or Lineage 2 Revolution rather than play Homescape, Gardenscape, or Slot Mania.
At least these games know their audience. Like, who's gonna play Gardenscape? It's not gonna be the kid who plays like Call of Duty or League or Dota, right? It's gonna be the grandma. Yeah. So at least they're targeting the correct audience for these games. So
if you look at the industry too, the mobile game numbers, it looks like according to this chart, it's 51% female. There's actually in the United States more females play mobile games than men.
Lineage 2 Gardenscape went.
Yes, please. So it's just I don't know the mobile gaming scene in America I would say is more pathetic than anything in Asia.
All right, let's move on here, boys.
All right.
Premium games revenue. So the number one best-selling digital buy-to-play game in 2018 was PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which is amazing. Over $1 billion in sales. Mm-hmm. It's not a really fair comparison because, as far as I know, PUBG for all platforms, including Xbox and stuff, is digital only. So 100%
and it's been out all year versus Black Ops 4, which wasn't out all year, and Red Dead Redemption 2, which wasn't out all year. It's kind of a slated, kind of tilted over here, but it's still remarkable how much money PUBG made. That's 1 billion bones. Ain't nothing to laugh at.
So I think this console, both console categories, both premium and free to play, will grow a lot in 2019 as more and more console players realize they can just download the game instead of going to GameStop and being sold a premium membership.
Fair.
All right. Anything else interesting here? They talk about some streaming stuff, which I don't care about. Virtual reality, dead meme. Let's see. Enterprise. Who cares?
No, I mean, the only other interesting thing I thought was just look at if you look at the top Twitch channels of 2018, Ninja streamed had 218 million hours watched of content, which I think is remarkable.
I don't think
for one individual streamer.
I think it's pointless. It's a pointless statistic. No one watches these streams. They leave it on the second monitor or like minimized, and it's just like noise. It's like background noise. It's like low key ASMR while you're like doing something else. You know.
I mean, a lot of people are fapping to the Ninja. Is that what we all know ASMR is for fapping, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe clearly people watch this stream for an hour, right? But,
yeah, exactly.
I can't imagine if you're just watching a guy who's streaming for 8 hours that you're actually like, you have
not the entire time, sure, but it still captures your attention.
Just looking at it, like okay, like a TV show, like a movie, like, you know what I'm saying? It's probably like you have it open, and then you also have like a browser open, and you're like reading, you're on Reddit, you're on like whatever,
But what's remarkable to me is like if you look at the hours watched, like Game of Thrones, for example, right? The season finale broke like all records or something, right?
Yeah.
And they got like 12.1 million views.
Yeah, but real views, like people sitting down doing nothing else but watching it on one screen.
It's like an hour long, right? So they got 12 million hours watched on Game of Thrones, right? How many seasons? That was a season finale, right? How many episodes are in the Game of Thrones season? Do you remember?
Like 12? I don't know. 12?
Okay, 12. So we multiply that by 10 or something, okay? That's half the time that people are watching Ninja. Ninja gets more views than Game of fucking Thrones, all right?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Just the number of eyeballs watching Ninja?
But that's the thing. They're not eyeballs.
Whatever. No, they are.
They're not eyeballs.
Even if they watch it like half the time, all right? It's still more people watching Ninja. By the way, some people are watching Game of Thrones on their second monitor, not paying attention either, all right?
Earballs. There you go. That's a good one. Earballs.
They're earballs. They're earballs. Fine. I'll accept earballs.
First of all, half of these viewers are bots. Okay, straight up bots. The other half are like people leaving it on.
They're not half bots. What are you talking about? There's like a fixed number of bots, so it's not like a percentage based. If you're like a smaller streamer, maybe you can say half their views are bots, but like there aren't like a million bots watching them.
I don't know, man. Anyway,
I'm not buying these numbers. Interesting on here.
The streaming numbers are like the esports numbers for me. I think there's a lot of smoke, so you feel excited, but there's no substance. There's no meat there yet. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. I have an interesting story. All right, because we talked a lot about we talked a lot about MMORPGs and sketchy Kickstarter funded games, and I want to go back to a game that we mentioned a long time ago, and this is a truly scam game, all right? We've talked about kind of like, games like Chronicles of Illyria and Asher Creation be a little iffy. But compared to like the actual scam games and the actual scammers, people that run Chronicles of Illyria and Asher Creation are like much more legit than some of these other obvious scams. So you can find this this from like 2 years ago. There was apparently this absolute joke of a game called Havilia. Let me go and link this to you, Altay. Do you remember this Kickstarter?
Do I remember that? Let me see. What. Vaguely, and I remember it because we were in Turkey when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So they claim to be. You can see these two douchebags in this video at 3 minutes in talking about this new MMORPGs they're making, where it's got a real world economy. It's got this whole like Star Citizen angle with like these giant spaceships, and you mine gold in the game, and then like if you mine enough gold in the game, they sell you. They send like nuggets in the mail, right? This game was 100% scam, right? Basically, the Kickstarter even got suspended because the guys involved with this literally ran a scam like a year ago before this Kickstarter came out, where they were like, they raised $29,000 to go look for dinosaurs in the Congo. No joke, no meme. This is real. So they said they were looking for some extinct dinosaur in the Congo. They got $29,000. They never even went. So they just kept the 29 G's, right? So they scammed that, and then they doubled down with this MMORPG thing. It didn't take off, fortunately, because this scam didn't go anywhere. But these guys went on like Cheddar TV, some of these like online TV platforms with millions of views, and pitched this idea. And we're talking about this scam game. Like, despite all the bullshit they did for this game, it didn't go anywhere. It was an obvious scam, right?
Wait, what's it called? Cheddar TV?
Yeah, it's like I think they partnered with Seeking Alpha and Bloomberg. I think
Cheddar, like cheese.
Yeah, like cheese. Yeah, they were on Cheddar TV.
Sounds like a lame name, but whatever. Okay, go on.
Anyway, so these guys tried to pitch this garbage game. They didn't raise any money. The game didn't go anywhere because there was nothing. The whole game was a scam from the get-go, right? But then these guys, obviously, if you can't make money scamming on MMORPGs, where do you go next? Where do you go next after trying to scam MMORPGs? You go to Kickstarter. You go to crypto.
Crypto.
You go to crypto, baby. These guys are now scamming on crypto, which is crazy. All right, so I kind of stumbled in on this because I've been following the crypto scene for a long time. And when this douchebag's name showed up, Mikula, I remember this guy's name. When this douchebag's name showed up on a crypto scam, I was like, wait a minute, this is pretty interesting. So this is the crypto they're running, the scam crypto they're running. So if you look at the
Before we look though, just hold up. This guy kind of looks like a retarded version of Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philly.
yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Right. That's all I had to say.
All right, so he's on there as the director of business development. All right, he's utilizing extensive knowledge in technology development. Siva served as CEO of Mikula Technologies, which, by the way, is a bullshit company that doesn't even exist. He claims he's got 200 employees on his LinkedIn page, right? But not a single one of them exists on LinkedIn. And you Google the name of the company, nothing comes up but his garbage landing page, right? So this company doesn't exist. So this Apollo crypto website, which is trying to sell themselves like the best cryptocurrency ever, right? It combines all the features of all the cryptocurrencies, is built on Wix.com. You've seen those shitty ads from Wix.com.
People that can't even make 5 seconds.
Exactly. So these guys that can't even make a website or claim to have made a cryptocurrency. Nova Ariella, John McAfee. The way these crypto scams work is if you pay John McAfee like enough money, he'll be your chairman for any project. He's a chairman for like a dozen of these crypto scams. All right, he'll take your money and then so you can put his name on your website. So the most remarkable part of this scam story, I thought, besides the fact that this bullshit crypto is not going anywhere, obviously, right? They basically took an existing crypto coin and made a fork of it and have added like 2 lines of code to it and have promised all these features that will never exist, right? But the best part of this crypto scam is there was a guy calling this guy out on his bullshit, right? Some guy made a video calling this guy out, and I thought that was the most interesting because in that video, if you went to this guy's LinkedIn page about like a month ago, right? The Stephen Mukula guy's LinkedIn page, he actually listed on his LinkedIn page this screenshot. So I want to show you the screenshots. I thought it was pretty interesting. So he puts on his LinkedIn page, he's got a bachelor's degree from Drury University in business administration and a bachelor's degree from Lamar University. So some guy on YouTube was curious about this. He calls the school and says, "Did you guys give does Mr. Stephen McCool have a bachelor's degree?" And he doesn't. He just made that up. He has no actual degree from these universities. So the guy called the school that they confirmed he didn't have it. So he made a video calling this guy on his bullshit. And then literally like a day later, the Steven guy makes a video saying, "This guy's just attacking me for no reason. I never said I had a bachelor's degree." And then he updated his LinkedIn page a day after he got called out on it. And he got rid of the part where it's a bachelor's degree. And he said, "I never said I had a bachelor's degree. I just said I went to those universities. I would never claim to have a bachelor's degree when I don't have one." So all he did was update it from like he removed the bachelor's degree part. And he said, "I would never claim I would have it." And he did like literally like weeks ago. So
listen, I went to Harvard University.
There you go.
I mean, I was in Boston, so I decided to walk around the campus, as a tourist. But
there you go.
I guess I could say I went to Harvard now, right?
You can, but you just can't say you have a bachelor's degree from Harvard.
That's right.
Right? That's when you cross the line. So it's remarkable to me. But this guy, by the way, found a lot of success in this scam. He's made, I think, millions of dollars running this crypto scam. He was never able to defraud people in a large scale with MMORP. I think this guy saw Star Citizen and some of these other Kickstarter games doing really well and wanted to jump in on the hype. And he just maybe joined the hype train too late or failed to hype it up. But he found success in crypto scamming, which has been a very ripe industry for it. So it just but this character makes people like Sharif from Asher Creation, like at least like it's so obvious. At least Steven, the guy who's doing Asher Creation, is working on the game, right? Like there's effort being made on that game. Millions of dollars have been spent making that game. They raised a lot of money, obviously, but like that money isn't going through his pocket. He hired dozens of employees. There's an office. There are people working on this game, and we've been very critical of both Chronicles of Illyria and Asher Creation. I'm actually I still think Chronicles of Illyria is vaporware, but they're doing something there, okay? But at least we can literally see that Asher Creation is working on a game. So it's not a scam the way that this guy's Kickstarter game was a scam.
Yep. So we can't undervalue the word scam. We can't dilute it, right?
That's
scam
true.
Applies to people like this guy, Steve McCullough.
Yeah,
right.
That guy's 100% scam.
The other guys like Chronicles of Illyria are maybe a little too ambitious. They're over in their head, but they're trying, right? Mm-hmm. So they're not scams. They're just maybe over-promising, but we'll see.
Yeah, and perhaps maybe the word the title scam doesn't make sense for Star Citizen either. I do think Star Citizen is very ambitious, and I don't think they're going to reach those ambitions. But they have hundreds of employees. They're doing something, right? Like they're working on a game. So it's not. I don't think that was a scam. I don't think the purpose of that from the get-go was like defraud people either. Whereas the purpose of this Mukula's nonsense was literally to scam people.
John McAfee is running for president in 2020.
Yeah, John. If you want an interesting Twitter follow, I recommend you follow John McAfee on Twitter. That guy is a character.
Yeah, but just know you're following a mentally insane person. Like, don't take it seriously.
Yeah, the guy is absolutely nuts, but it's very entertaining. It's well worth following on Twitter.
Indeed. All right, can we move on to some MMO news now?
Yeah, let's have some MMO news. What do you got?
All right, I got Tree of Savior. I actually played it again this week. They had a big update with the class system, and so I made a new character. And I did just like every other game these days. They super sped up the leveling. I remember it taking a lot longer to level before. I think I got to like level 50 or something in like an hour or two, like 2-3 hours. So I again, but that's nothing. The max level I think I was like 360 or something. But there are YouTube videos of people power leveling to max level in I believe something like 11 hours. So the leveling experience is a lot quicker now. It's worth going back to try it if you haven't played in a long time. It's a lot quicker. I remember last time we played at launch, they had an issue where you would hit you'd run out of quests, like a level or two before you could get to the next area, right?
You had to grind, yeah.
You had to grind or you had to like save up your cards and use them at the right levels and stuff. So that's not a problem anymore. It's a lot quicker. Unfortunately, it's still laggy. I don't get this. How can MMORPG? It's 2019. How do MMORPGs not understand yet? You can't have this kind of lag. Like it's like two guys on the screen and the game's lagging. I don't understand. Like, so that's a shame.
I mean, especially considering the game it's kind of based off of Ragnarok Online. Like the game runs pretty well now, even though it's the game is super old, like 2005 or something. I forgot when Ragnarok Online came out. If you can't remake Ragnarok and not make it laggy, come on, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But as I was playing it though, you know what I was thinking? The art is still amazing. The graphic style is really, really pretty. It looks like a storybook. I kind of think Tree of Savior would work better as a mobile game.
I mean, it is coming out as they are making a mobile version of it.
Yeah, it's so linear anyway. Like the way that the maps are right now, you literally start at one end, you kind of wind your way, following a predetermined path of there's like no open world really. It's just each zone in the world is like a literal corridor, like a hallway. So it already kind of feels like it's hand holding you step by step. So I don't know. I think it would work as a mobile game.
And what's remarkable is a lot of MMORPGs kind of do this. It feels like there's really no path anyway. It just feels really linear. Like there's not usually multiple places to level. If you're like level 35, you can go like this area or that area. There's usually one spot you're going to go to, and it's very linear in its progression like that. So it's a bit odd too. Like at least if you had different areas to explore, or like different maybe grind a dungeon or multiple different fields, it can at least feel like you have some kind of player choice. But yeah, it does feel really linear. And
someone in chat mentioned something. I don't know if you're aware of this somewhere, but there's a game by Nexon coming out called Spirit Wish. I'm going to play it on the stream. Take a look. It actually is almost identical in terms of art style to Tree of Savior, which is funny because I guess they beat Tree of Savior to the punch here.
And I'm seeing on the right side the semi and autoplay, which means this game is autoplay right here. Spirit Wish.
Indeed, yeah.
This is a complete Tree of Savior ripoff. Though, like the art style is identical, but it looks like is this? I don't think this doesn't look open world. It looks like do you have multiple characters? Yeah, it looks like you have multiple characters on your team, and they just keep grinding.
Yeah, I guess so.
In like in a stage-based game. I love the art style because I really like the art style in Tree of Savior. I mean, Tree of Savior also has like some of the best music of any MMORPG. If you haven't heard the music in Tree of Savior, like maybe it's worth making a new character and grinding just for that, or just go to MMOs.com/music and look up the soundtrack for Tree of Savior. It's amazing.
I definitely think it's worth. It's free to play. It's on Steam. It's definitely worth a shot to look at if you're just bored one evening and you just want something to play for a bit.
Do you know what game I feel like almost like predated all these auto-playing mobile games? Do you remember Granada Espada or Sword of the New World?
Yes, Granada Espada. I do remember.
Yeah, so that game, the video you showed me reminded me of that because in Sword of the New World, also called Granada Espada, you have a team of like 3 people. It was like one of the only MMORPGs where you can control multiple characters at once, and you just kind of like you would bring them to like a dungeon, and you could have them like auto grinding automatically because you auto attack enemies nearby. So you could like literally auto play on Granada Espada the same way you can in a lot of these auto playing MMORPGs. And this was on PC, so obviously it wasn't the only game that has a bot built in or an autoplay feature built into the PC. And we've seen a lot of other games as well, but I think it's one of the older ones because Sword of the New World is definitely an oldie.
Yep. Yeah, and yes, they are by the same director, I believe, and they're also by the same. The OSTs are by the same music directors too.
Composers, yeah.
Composers, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, and the people that did the Ragnarok Online music did the music for Tree of Savior as well as Sword of the New World. That's why the music is really good in those games. Same people.
Indeed. I got another bit of news here for an old game.
All right, let's hear it.
Shot Online coming to Steam.
Coming to Steam. What are the? There's no way that game's gonna do well on Steam.
No, I don't think so.
I'm actually surprised this game still exists. Is it like? I'm really curious about how much money they make off their player base, because this game never had a big player base. Shot Online was never like overflowing with players, right? There's only 58 players online right now on Steam for Shot Online, by the way. So it's not like it's exactly right? Oozing. Yeah, it came out just recently.
Nice.
So they brought a 14-year-old golfing MMO onto Steam. Yeah, Shania Point, they have like 5 super whales keeping the game. I think so too. I feel like because it just seems nuts that this game has survived. Like Games Campus, which makes Shot Online, used to be a really big publisher. Like throughout the years, they probably published well over a dozen games, and only one game remains, and that's Shot Online. The only one.
I think there was one other big golf free-to-play game back in Pangya back in the old days. Is that still around?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Pangya on the PC shut down. I think you can still play Pangya mobile, which has been around for a while, but Pangya on the PC has long been gone.
Rip.
Mm-hmm. Rip. I mean, Pangya was also more like Mario Golf in a way. It was very silly, versus a more realistic game of Shot Online. Pretty sure there's pay to win in Shot Online though. You pay, but then again, isn't like real life golf very pay to win? Don't they have clubs that cost like $10,000?
They do, like the what they call carbon fiber ones and stuff. So
I have a question for you. Like, what if you bought a club IRL for golf? They're like a very advanced club. That like kind of like all you do is hold it, and it just literally hits the ball on its own. Like while you're holding it, it like there's a camera on it. It locks out to where the ball is, and you pre-program where it needs to go. So like it kind of just literally hits the ball for you. Would that be illegal to use in tournament play?
No. First of all, it would probably have all sorts of electronics, obviously. So I don't. Yeah. I think that would disqualify it.
Ah, shucks. So you can't put electronics on your golf clubs? And
there's probably a rule about that. Yes.
Any golf aficionados out there can clarify, because you can pay to win in shot. Listen, you can pay to win in Shot Online. Why can't you pay to win in golf?
You know what? Well, this is totally off topic now, but I think sports, if they allow, like augmented people, like there's people with like their legs missing now, and they replaced like the foot with some like weird looking duck pad made of like carbon fiber, and they actually run faster than humans, some of them. So I think in the future, if they don't restrict this stuff, people are gonna have like exoskeletons that allow them to like hit the golf ball like 1,000 times harder than a human can, right?
But hold, don't they already have stuff like that in like the foot races and stuff, right? They say a lot of some of the advancement in faster run times is due to technology. So what happened was a lot of people running marathons, or like at least those like 100-meter sprints or whatever, their shoes are actually like way more like way better, and those shoes have made a bigger difference. Like the traction on the ground has actually shaved seconds off the runtime. So isn't that a way of pay to winning? Because like there are literally people spending like millions of dollars every year to literally engineer a better shoe to make you jump faster, run faster, all that shit. And for swimming as well, isn't there like stuff that you can wear for swimming that makes you more like, what's it, less resistant to the water or something?
There is, but all that is kind of like, I guess, low tech, right? Not electronic and stuff. But look at this, like this is what I'm talking about. So if you look at this clip, these guys are running. Look at this guy's foot. He puts these like weird plastic or metal things on, and he's got no feet, and he's just bouncing up and down on these pads. Or I don't know.
Also, do those weigh less than regular whatever would be there?
Probably, yeah. Like aerodynamic and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. What I don't know how we talk about it. Let's get off this topic.
I'm saying you can pay to win in real sports, so I can pay to win in Shot Online. All right, that's what I'm trying to say. All right, you got if you got to be able to pay to win in Shot Online.
Amen.
Honestly, I feel like pay to win is like the most hilarious when you see it, like not so much in a fantasy MMORPG. Like if you see someone pay to win in like some Chinese like browser MMORPG, he's like VIP level 20 and he's one-shotting everything. Fine, like it's obviously like kind of stupid, right? But if you're playing like freestyle 2 street basketball and some guy's like just dunking on you because he's got like plus 10 sneakers, where he just literally just jumps higher than you and can like just take better shots than you, like it's a bit sillier and like in your face when you pay to win in like a directly like sports related game.
I think we got to go back to what the OG Greeks did with the Olympics. You got to compete naked. Like if you're doing a swim or a race, just make them run naked or swim naked.
I like that.
Anything you put on,
that's fair.
It's gonna make it unfair, right? In some way or another. So if you want to run a marathon, run it barefoot. If you want to run a sprint, run it barefoot. You want to swim, naked. What's with these these aerodynamics?
I would watch the girls volleyball competition with a lot of excitement. Okay, because I'm just interested in women's sports. I like Chaos Shields comment. They need the Air Jordans plus 10. But the problem is, Chaos, to get the Air Jordans plus 10 with MMORPG logic, after getting plus 5 Air Jordans, to get plus 6, there's a 40% chance the item will break when you upgrade it. So if you get to plus 6, to get to plus 7, there's like a 70% chance the item will break. By the time you get to plus 9, only 0.001% of Air Jordans will ever make it to Air Jordans plus 10. Right? And it will cost you millions and millions of dollars, apparently.
All right. We got to make the Olympics naked again. That's hashtag that one.
I like that one. Make the Olympics naked again. It's fair. It's the only way to make it fair.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, one more game made it onto Steam this week, and that is Record of Lodoss Warhammer.
Ooh.
What are your thoughts on this one?
Honestly, it's not a terrible game. Like, look, there are games out there which I would recommend if you want to play and just turn your brain off. And I would say MapleStory is one of those games, and I would say Record of Lodoss War is one of those games. It's one of those games where you log in, you create a character, you go outside town, and you grind. They have quests, but don't let those pesky quests get in the way. Honestly, not even worth doing. You just get in the game, you just keep killing things over and over again for literally hours on end. It's a very grindy game, very mindlessly grindy game. And sometimes it's good to be mindlessly grindy because, like, when you try to cover up the mindless grind with like quests and this nonsense called a story, it gets in the way sometimes because, like, if your story sucks ass, why is it even there? You know, if these quests are just like go from point A to point B, why is it even there? If I quest to kill 50 like slimes, actually, here's a minor sidetrack over here. What I hate is when a quest is like go kill 10 slimes. That's the worst fucking quest in the world, all right? Or go kill 10 slimes and 10 like dogs, right? What a useless ass quest. At least give me like a man's quest. Tell me to kill 2,000 slimes. I'd rather kill 2,000 slimes for a quest than kill 10 slimes for a quest. Because if I had to kill 2,000, I'm not going back and forth with these shitty ass NPCs, all right? I'll just sit there and kill 2,000 slimes. Let me farm my slimes in peace. And I'm actually kind of upset that games don't give me more quests like that because grindy games especially, I would rather a grindy game, like MapleStory as well, to give me a quest to kill 1,000 enemies. But there are kind of quests with like 500 plus kills on there. Zalcor, level 1 quest, kill 1,000 wolves. Wouldn't open. Zalcor, clearly you are not a true MMORPG gamer, all right? I going back, the worst feeling in a lot of like MMORPGs, they go kill 10 wolves and come back to town to hand that quest in. Fuck that. Let me go kill 100 wolves then come back. Make it more efficient, you know?
I actually don't mind the ones that are like kill like the rats in my farm, right? Because it kind of makes sense, like lore wise. Like the farmer wants you to kill rats in his farm. The ones I don't get are like they send you like really far away to kill like 8 of these random animals and come back. Like why?
No, the worst ones is a guy standing like, in a field, right? And you walk up to him, he's like, I need to pick up these 7 flowers for me. And there's literally just growing right around. Like they're surrounding this guy. This guy is like literally covered in flowers. And there's like 8 flowers next. There's all these flowers. You right click on them. A stupid meter fills up. 3 seconds later, obtain 1 flower. And you do this 7 more times. You get 8 flowers. You hand it to the guy. Like, dude, you couldn't bend over yourself? Like pick these fucking flowers up? You paying me for this? Those are the worst quests. And the worst part is literally every MMORPG has these. Every game has these. Whether it's Terra, Blade and Soul, World of Warcraft, like every MMORPG has these worst kind of quests. At least make the flowers on the other side of the map, guarded by ogres or something. But just literally pick up items off the ground is the stupidest quest, and every game does it. It makes no sense. The idea of killing 1,000 wolves is so much more entertaining to me than picking up goddamn shit off the floor.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we talked to NPC. Like, hey, here's a quest. Go talk to this guy standing next to me. That's some bullshit ass quest, all right? And escort quests, I think, are bad in every game. Red Lion. I don't think anyone defends escort quests. And like, I wonder if there's somebody out there like, damn, I really like escorting these NPCs for these quests. That's so much fun.
What was the first MMORPG with an escort quest? I know which one. I know Ultima Online had it, and that was
that was the first one I remember.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if like Tibia or those older games had it.
Oh. What year did Tibia come out anyway? Is Tibia older than Ultima Online?
I think it's the same year, 1987. I guess.
Somebody actually mentioned too, in your little timeline that we showed last week for like the most influential games of the years, you missed Anarchy Online, which I would definitely kind of include as a big one.
Yeah, that's a good point. We can go back to that in the post game and we can discuss it. Fill it up a little. But I want to quickly. So what's surprising about Record of Lodoss War coming to Steam, and I brought it up, is because it stands in contrast to how Warportal is treating some of its other games. Actually, Warportal doesn't even have Record of Lodoss War, does it? I think it does. Let me check. Anyway, more to the point, Warportal has announced, I think we announced last week, Rose Online is shutting down. And this week I also learned that Ragnarok Online 2 has stopped development. So no more updates for RO2. I don't think anyone is going to be too surprised by that one.
Listen, Altay. That game's got a solid player base of concurrent players on Steam of like 30 players, all right? Those guys are going to be upset, all right? There's 36 players online average over the last month, and the game has had less than 100 players online since 2016. And even since 2014, the average player was only 250 according to Steam charts. So this game was kind of dunzo from the get-go. And anyone that played this game, who played the original Ragnarok Online, would say good riddance. This game was such a affront to what Ragnarok Online was supposed to be. Just why they call it Ragnarok Online is beyond me. This is like the worst sequel to any game. It betrays the concept of Ragnarok Online. It just literally such a generic 3D anime MMORPG with no soul. It had nothing like the original Ragnarok Online game. They just slapped the name and they used some of the same characters and the same monster designs, and that's it. The world was even the same. It was terrible. This game, I mean, no one's gonna miss this. I don't think.
You're probably right, but I was surprised to see this one also take a hit because it's a first-party game by them, right? Who's still developing for Requiem and Dragon Saga, which is the other two games?
Honestly, I have no idea. I am so surprised that Requiem is still alive.
Yeah, me too.
It's such an obscure. Actually, I didn't even know Requiem was on Steam. Did you know that, Altay?
Yeah, it is.
Now, do you think how many people do you think play this game?
50.
That's actually I'd be surprised if it had 50 because Ragnarok Online 2 only had 30.
That's
all right. This game averages at 30 players in the last 30 days because they must have had a big patch because last month they only had 19 and before they had 15. So
today's peak was 50. So I'm gonna give myself credit for getting that one, at least the peak right.
You got the peak, Altay. You got the peak. I'll give it to you. This game came out in June of 2008, and this is there's no way this game still gets updated. I'm gonna see if there's anything on their homepage. No, their last update on Steam was their 10th anniversary update, which was at May 31st, 2018. There's been no updates for this game or any kind of communication. Looks like, at least on Steam, for about a full year, almost a full year now. So this one is next on the chopping block, I think. This one's gonna go. There's no way this is gonna survive.
Rip Requiem.
We still have a lot of obscure older MMORPGs still around. Like somebody mentioned, everybody remember Rapples? Rapples is still around and it's still playable today.
Is that
all right? Rapples still gets updated. All right. I want you to know, guys. Rapples still gets updated.
That is a good point, though. There are no other games that are horror, or at least self-titled horror MMORPGs besides Requiem.
Requiem is just basically a fantasy MMORPG, just extra blood and violence. Some of the characters, the monster designs look a little more like horror-esque. There's nothing beyond that. The game doesn't try being scary. There's no jump scares. Right? I mean, maybe if you did a dungeon and while you're in a dungeon there was jump scares, that'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? That would kind of fit the whole horror genre. But the game doesn't do that.
Listen, it's a horror MMORPG.
Mm-hmm. All
right, self-proclaimed.
What's crazy? Rapples is still still out there. At that we talked last week about MMORPGs not being dead, and I think it's crazy that you still have so many games that we don't even. I don't think we've talked about Rapples in this podcast ever, but they've consistently been updating the game, and the game is I think a lot of private servers as well too. So the game is still doing well. Maybe a good article to do one day as well. Maybe just a list of the biggest private servers, because there are WoW private servers with 5,000 concurrent players online. Black Desert Online private servers with thousands and thousands of players online. Same for Moo Online and a lot of these other games.
I like the name of the private server for Black Desert Online. It's like Red Desert Online.
Ooh, it's completely different, all right?
Did you hear about this Dirty Bomb shutdown?
No, I didn't. I mean, did they already say they stopped development for it a while ago?
Yes, but as part of the shutdown, I guess, where they actually released all their internal design documents, which I thought was really cool. So if you want to see what goes into what's all this stuff, and the soundtrack is free too now from their official website. So that's pretty cool that they're. I think every company should do this. If it's a game they're shutting down, they should release basically all the assets they have on it.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense, but did they make the source code free too, or no?
I don't know what this. No, I don't think so. But even
didn't they say they were going to kind of try to work with the community to try getting it hosted somewhere, or no?
I think I don't know if it's still up or not. I think it's still up though, but eventually it's going to shut down. I think.
Yeah, but it's still pretty cool. They release all that stuff. It just I kind of want to dig through that out of curiosity.
It is worth digging through, and the detail is stunning. It's over 300 pages, and basically maps out all the gameplay, like loops and what they're trying to accomplish, the stats for all like the guns and stuff, like the damage. It's insane. The work that goes into designing a game like this before you even start with the graphics and everything is pretty intense.
That's cool too, because I think a lot of people like have dreams of making games, right? But like obviously that the pesky thing called programming that gets in the way, right? A lot of people don't want to do that, right? But I really think if you're really interested in games or game design, you could design a game without having any programming skills. Just map out literally the gist of the UI, all the mechanics, how they all interact with each other, and like everything about the game from start to finish. You can still map that out. You know, whether it's an MMORPG, whether it's a card game, whether it's an FPS, like all that, you can do all that without any programming skills. And if your design document is like really compelling, like from there you can maybe look for funding or for help to go, the next step from there if it's an interesting idea. Like that's at least something you can do right away. Obviously, you should start before you start designing any kind of video games. Design some card games or board games is a lot easier and simpler. You can actually make those on your own very easily.
Yeah, it's definitely worth flipping through if you are interested in any kind of game design to see what it goes into it before you get to the actual creation of the actual game phase. I suspect a lot of people who are like, oh, I want to make an MMO, I want to make a game. When they see how much work goes into it, even just a shooter, a lobby shooter, 90% of people are going to lose interest because they just, they don't really have a full concept of what they want from a game. They just have this one cool feature, and they think that's enough to make a game out of.
Listen, Altay, I downloaded RPG Maker XV8 this last week. I went through that phase again. I downloaded it. I had it open for a whole hour and a half. All right, Altay.
Wow.
I made 3 maps, and I made 2 interactable menus. All right, I made a game. All right, I'm ready for the Game of the Year award.
Interactive menu. What does that mean?
There was like 3 triggers. All right, you could actually like go to these 3 zones, and there's NPC you got to talk to, and you got to like choose the correct option out of this question. All right, if you choose the wrong option, you get game over. If you choose the right option, you win the game, and that was it. All right, listen, that's some quality. Let me go to Kickstarter. I gotta raise some money. All right, I gotta make it to a full budget game.
All right, sounds good. And don't forget to say it's powered by the blockchain. And,
of course.
Yeah, there you go.
Got to get that powered by the blockchain. You get to raise more money that way. All right. Next story, which I thought was kind of interesting. This kind of relates to more so did you hear about the MapleStory 2 project they're working on, Altay, where they want to reach out to players and get their feedback a bit more?
I read the headline, but I don't know the details though.
All right, so MapleStory 2 kind of is a problem. Player base has been declining, as we mentioned on the last podcast, with the Steam users definitely going down. And I think one of the biggest problems is the gameplay loop itself is kind of not fun, is the biggest issue with the game. Like in the process of making a really cool concept with the player-made designs, I think everyone likes the idea of the player-made outfits, and they like the mini games and the music playing and all that other like non-gameplay stuff, right? But one of the biggest problems with MapleStory 2 is, the core gameplay ended up just not being fun. Like you got the max, you grind the max level, you just run these dungeons over and over again to get the random loot you need. Like whereas I would say MapleStory 1 had almost like the opposite problem, where like the core gameplay was fun, the gameplay loop was fun, the grind was fun, because you could get the max level MapleStory 2 in like a day or two, right? Which is kind of weird. Like whereas MapleStory 1, which today to get to level 250, and later this week the max level will be 275, is gonna take like forever. That's like so much grind to get there. So it is weird. People got the max level and then got bored pretty quickly. So the game has problems, right? Not just that, obviously. There's some other, enchanting issues, the way item drop works. There's none of meso syncs in the game. So what they're doing is, for the next 3 months, before they implement any big changes to the game, they're going to basically say, okay, here's what we're thinking. Here's how we're going to fix these problems. What do you think? And then the community will have a chance to respond on the forums, I think. And then they're going to look at that feedback and then propose a new solution and try to incorporate all the feedback that players have said. Obviously, not all of it. The shitty ideas will be gone. And then they're going to implement changes based on directly with player feedback. And obviously, something's not working in MapleStory 2 for them to even be this open about it, right? But this kind of goes hand in hand with the way RuneScape has done it for a long time. I mean, if you're not familiar with the RuneScape model, I think RuneScape is the most interesting method for updating your game, because old school RuneScape, before any big change makes into the game has polling stations built in, and players vote on changes. Generally, if changes are frowned upon, or it doesn't get like 70% support, it doesn't make it to the game. Some things have still made it to the game despite maybe not getting support, but generally they have direct feedback mechanisms in the game. There's literally polling stations in the game where they'll say how do you feel about this update? Do you approve or disapprove? And if you don't get 70% approval rates, they don't put these updates into the game. So players have a direct impact on how the game ends up being developed. The beauty of the system is the people that don't care aren't going to vote, which is fine. And the people that really are invested in the game are the ones that are going to vote. either way. So it ends up giving ceding control of your game to a degree to your players, which I think the most dedicated players of RuneScape, of MapleStory 2, of any MMORPG, the most dedicated hardcore fans, I think they do have a lot of input on the game. You know, a lot of the people that work on these games, whether it's Final Fantasy 14, MapleStory 2, RuneScape, whatever it is, a lot of people that play these games don't necessarily play the games all day or even that much. Like, it's very clear by playing Final Fantasy 14, a lot of developers and designers don't play the game that much. There are just some obvious things that get into the game that just so bizarre that should never have made it. And it seems like common sense problems. So when you incorporate your player base and utilize their skills, their knowledge of no life in this game, I think you will get a much better combination. Obviously, you can still go through quality control and make sure it's not a retarded idea. And that's like for the professional side it comes in. I think we have to see more. I think more and more RPGs will kind of go through this model. I mean, RuneScape is still killing it too with this model, so it works.
It does
work.
I'm glad they're trying this, but I think it might be too little too late for MapleStory 2. I think they gave away the farm too early. I remember at launch, you could pretty much get to max level like in one day if you played like for the majority of that one day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you just can't do that because even me, I ended up, the only progression left was to do the same dungeon like over and over again all day. And the way you get, I don't know if they fixed this or not, since I played, but you get a random piece of loot, whether you need that piece or not. So you have to keep running the same dungeon.
It wasn't for your class necessarily, yeah. You just keep running the same dungeon.
So there's nothing wrong with that if it's like a super endgame thing. Like, there's always going to be, the elite are always going to be okay with doing 10 hours of content for like a 1% upgrade, right?
Yeah.
But the problem was the casual player was put in that position because they got to max level in one day.
Yeah, it was so weird that like, I don't get it though. Like, why it was so silly that you get the max level MapleStory 2 that quickly. Like, it should be something you can work towards. It should take a while. The hardcore players, even they should be able to get there like in a day. It's just so
no one
silly.
should get there in a day. It diminished the world because you didn't care about the zones because you were leveling past them too quickly. You didn't care about the gear you were getting because it was redundant. It was useless in 5 minutes. And if you look at the Steam, again, this game is not just on Steam. It's also on their Nexon launcher. But if you look at the Steam numbers, their loss of players month to month for the past, since release, we're talking like Bless Online numbers here. 40%, 58%, 43% monthly declines. I mean, that is a wallop right there.
And the problem with MapleStory 2, again, is not the player crafted stuff, the housing, the music. That stuff is awesome. The core gameplay loop seems to be the biggest problem. And the fact that you got to max level so quickly seems to be the problem. Like, I don't know why they deviated so much away from the original MapleStory, where it took a little bit longer. Even MapleStory 1 today, game from 1 to 250, even with the burning events, it takes some time. Obviously, it's gotten a lot faster, but to get the last, like, from level 200 to 250, it takes a lot of grind. And it kept people in the game longer. I mean, once you run out of stuff to do, it's like when you stop playing a game. I mean, the reason I stopped playing Final Fantasy 14 is after I finished, like, everything in the patch, I've done my raids, there's little reason to log back in. And I think a lot of people have gotten there so quickly with MapleStory 2. It's really unfortunate. It seems like it seems so obvious that you can't let people get everything in the game so quickly.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm hopefully they pace it better going forward, but it's gonna be a hard hill to climb to get all these people back who initially tried the game.
So Altay, do you have any good solutions for this? Because obviously, someone made a good point saying like PvP is like dynamic and keep people interested for a long time. It could do that, right? But I think he made a good point by saying that not everyone is into PvP. I think a lot and more PvP players especially are playing for the PvE. So what can a game do to keep people in the game longer? Step one, you can't have people reaching max level in one day. That's like obvious, right? But is there any PvE loops you can introduce to the MMORPG experience, like a PvE loop where you're still playing the game that's kind of like different every time? The only way I can think of is maybe like a Path of Exile system where you get RNG with like loot. Because the RNG loot system that Diablo popularized and it's big in Path of Exile, like people are always looking for like certain gear. And that keeps people constantly playing the game. Whereas like traditional MMORPGs don't have that. Beyond that, I don't know, randomized loot is a really good way to do it.
Well, randomized loot, and I would also randomize the dungeons. So when you queue for a dungeon, the layout of the dungeon, the bosses you're going to face, their weaknesses and strengths, if there's any elemental elements in the game, is going to be randomized to some degree. And Diablo 2 did this initially really well, where the Den of Evil was slightly less grindy. It's still grindy, don't get me wrong, but slightly less grindy if you didn't memorize every turn, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're doing the MapleStory dungeon for the 10th time that day, it's exact same dungeon, exact same rooms, exact same mobs you did for the past 3 hours, right? A little bit of randomization there, I think, would go a long way too.
That's a good point, because you're literally doing the same thing every single time, and it never changes. And at least you got to discover the RNG of the Den of Evil, or those randomized maps in Diablo 2. That makes sense.
I would love to see this in games. So imagine like I'll say WoW because I'm familiar with the bosses, but think Final Fantasy 14 as well. Any game really, where you could queue for something called like the DBZ. You know the DBZ Underworld Arena, the tournament. Yeah. Like, so when Goku dies, he has to he in the filler arc, he has to fight the best fighters from every quadrant of the galaxy or whatever.
Yeah.
So imagine you queue for this thing with your guild, and you're fighting the ghost of all the previous dungeons randomly, but they're buffed. They're like a buffed version. Like one after the other.
Or could just sync you to the exact level that they were available back then.
Yeah.
You don't have to change anything. That'd be easy. Yeah.
And it'd be a contest. However far you get up the ladder is the gear you get, the reward you get.
But yeah, I'm surprised the games don't do that. It seems like a really good way to encourage like players to work together, with their guild, do cool shit like that. And they can like weekly leaderboards or something, how fast you kill it and stuff, and how far you get.
A few Korean games have done something similar. So you remember what's it called, Mu Legend?
Yeah.
Had that like the tower.
Yeah, the huge tower. Yeah.
Well, you don't heal either, so you go with a group and you just see how far you can get. I would love for
that's really cool. You're right.
Yeah, I would love to see. WoW could do it so easily. You could start with like boards, right, and then you progress, and then eventually you fight like a version of Ragnaros, and then with no healing, or maybe if you take 10 levels you heal or something, you got to keep going and see how far you can get.
Even like in between bosses, maybe you can take a boss gauntlet, and in between bosses, there's no rest time. As soon as you kill a boss, from his corpse another one spawns. You gotta keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
So stuff like that can keep players in the game a lot longer too. And it seems like
recycle old content this way. So
I really wish Final Fantasy 14 does this. World of Warcraft does it. Like every MMORPG would benefit a lot from instead of old content becoming like utterly useless and like completely neglected. It'd be a good way to incorporate it with like the current player base, and this would be a completely optional thing too. And it'd be a PvE mechanic that you could do with your guild or your friends.
Do you remember like those filler episodes of DBZ back in the day? So like Goku's on this stupid ass undead bridge trying to get back to Earth, and he like trips and falls down, and I'm like, oh, here we go again, another filler, and like Frieza's down there, he's got to fight him again.
yeah, of course.
Like it was annoying, but at least I was thinking, you know what? As far as filler goes, at least it's a little creative. Like they could just they could just waste time at the beach, like most animes do. Like, hey guys, let's go to the beach for 3 episodes.
True. I mean, speaking of, we gotta mention ESO. I mean, neither of us play ESO right now, but Elder Scrolls Online announced a big expansion this last week. I mean, we knew it was coming anyway because it was leaked like 3 weeks ago or something, but it was like finally confirmed today. They're launching Elsweyr, and it's gonna be introducing the Necromancer class to the game. It comes out like I think June or July. But it's a big update. I mean, ESO is one of the most successful Western developed MMORPGs over the last like 5 years. Is there anything else? Is there any? What is the biggest Western developed MMORPG of the last like 5-6 years?
Guild Wars 2, maybe.
I think Elder Scrolls Online is way bigger.
Yeah, probably. I think Elder Scrolls Online is underappreciated by fans of Elder Scrolls.
Yes, that's true.
I know a lot of people who like, oh, I wish to be in a single player game. It's not the same. I get it's not the same, but where the game is now compared to release, I think if you're a fan of the narrative storytelling, exploring, a Western fantasy world, there's so much value in ESO today that if you're a fan of that kind of game, you got to play it just for the single player stuff.
Listen, you can't walk into a random house and steal all the random items on the table. All right, they're all glued down. Unlike Morrowind and all the other Elder Scroll games.
Yeah, it's a little less freeform, right? It's more directed. There's quests you follow. It's like a quest chain, right?
Yeah, and that's a good prime 4-6. The problem with ESO is that it's not an Elder Scrolls game. Yeah, it doesn't. It's a lot of the fans of Elder Scrolls don't like ESO because it's not Elder Scrolls.
No, it's not. Don't think of it more like a BioWare single player RPG.
Yeah,
and that's how I approach it. It's got a lot of good quest lines, single player, with exploring the world as the quest tells you to. So it's not open world, right? It's just linear quest.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a big update to the game. It's launching. Let me take a look. But Elder Scrolls Online came out in 2014. It's about 4.5 years old now. And I think it's the biggest West developed MMORPG in quite a while. I don't think we've had really anything in the West for MMORPGs.
You were talking at the beginning about consoles a bit, and I think Elder Scrolls Online is a very successful console MMO. I know it's buy to play with a subscription, but there's also a cash shop in there. So I'm sure there's some microtransactions going on in there.
Definitely. It is launching on June 4th, by the way. And if you pre-order now, you can start playing on May 20th for the pre-order, bit. But new class, dragons, new raids, new dungeons, bunch of other goodies, I'm sure.
Yeah. I played the Morrowind expansion last year. I believe it was last year. Maybe 2 years ago now. I don't remember. But maybe I'll play the new one too. We'll see.
But are there any other Western? What is the last? If besides Elder Scrolls Online, what was the next Western developed MMORPG? Well, Guild Wars 2, right?
Does that count? There's Albion Online. I don't know if that counts.
That's true. Albion Online is a Western developed as well, but it's not exactly. It's actually probably bigger than a lot of the other ones too. It just seems like there's so few Western developed MMORPGs now, and the Western companies aren't really making mobile games either, because a lot of those mobile games, are from Asia. They're doing really well. So what are these Western developers doing? Huh? Making console games?
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess so. Warframe is a good one. Warframe is actually one of the more successful ones too. And actually, Leglius, I watched a really good documentary this last week called it's a Warframe documentary that shows that chronicles how Digital Extremes, like their history and how they created Warframe, how it was called Dark Sector before. Strongly recommend it. I'll drop the link in chat if anyone's curious. I'm sure plenty of Warframe fans have already seen it though. It's called The Story of Digital Extremes.
The Story of Digital Extremes.
It's by NoClip. They're the same channel that did the Final Fantasy XIV documentary as well. So if you like gaming documentaries, this channel is worth following. I really like the Final Fantasy XIV one. I really like the Warframe one. And I've seen a few of their other oddball ones too. Pretty cool. There's
actually a pretty big MMO-esque game coming out from a Western studio soon. And that's Anthem by BioWare and EA.
Whoa, it's a shared world experience, all right? Kappa.
Yes, that's whatever that's supposed to mean. It's obviously competing with Destiny 2 from Bungie. And I haven't really been following the hype too much because it seems to me like it's geared towards console players mostly, right? But if there's going to be a closed beta, maybe like a week before launch or so. But the full launch is February 22nd, which is exactly 1 month from now.
We'll see. I mean, this is the last like giant game from BioWare in a while, like a big new franchise. So we'll see how this one does.
Have you been? Is there?
No,
have you been?
No.
I haven't really.
I have no inkling of hype for this personally. Yeah. But I know people that are. Really? It looks really pretty too. I mean, I don't know. It looks really pretty. I don't know
anyone who's hyped for this. That's the thing. Like, no one in my circle really is hyped for this. If you do know, I'm curious if you do. If you guys are aware of this, familiar with this, looking forward to this.
Chaos describes exactly what I was thinking. It just looks kind of like Warframe, but with better graphics. But like, I don't think they're gonna be able to pull it off because Warframe's had so much time to add content and refine the experience. And Warframe, just like the beauty of Warframe, one of the best things about Warframe is how well it plays. It's fast, right? You can just literally just slide and jump across the entire map super fast. And I just can't imagine Anthem running that smoothly. But we'll see. I feel like Anthem's gonna feel much slower paced.
Yeah, I think I don't know.
And Warframe is free, obviously.
I think it'll find some audience, like the way Destiny 2. And Destiny 2 sold a lot of box copies. Maybe it didn't meet their Activision Blizzard's goals, but it did sell like millions of copies. And I feel like Anthem will probably hit a similar place where it'll sell millions, but it won't make a huge cultural impact the way like a lot of BioWare games have in the past.
Yeah, I think it'll commercially pay for itself, but it's not going to be some giant success. I mean, I'm rooting for it. Why not, right? Anything to help the MMO genre, even though it doesn't call itself an MMO,
No, I'm not rooting for it. It doesn't. If it's not going all the way, it's just it's.
It can't even commit to the name.
Not only can it not commit to the name, it can't commit to the idea. It's just borrowing an idea from Destiny. BioWare was like it's supposed to be like a pioneering, storytelling, immersive. It's big. It's legend. BioWare had the same oomph as Blizzard when Omar and I were like in school. So I don't want them to make it just like a copycat Destiny game. I want them to make a BioWare game, and this doesn't look like a BioWare game for me. So we'll see.
Indeed. That's old BioWare, but yeah. Ask how to define the genre, see what happens. I mean, they go with the term shared world. A lot of games will kind of be using this weird term shared world where you kind of have MMO elements, but you don't want to call yourself an MMO. I do feel like MMO has become a dirty word. Nobody likes to use the word a Destiny clone. There you go, Altay.
That's the genre as far as I can tell.
Anything else on the docket here, Altay?
Well, speaking of Western games, and we were talking earlier about those lobby games, with the missions. One of those came out by a Western studio last week. Breach.
Really?
Breach is an early. It's going to be free to play when it's out of early access, but I don't know when that is. But for now, on Steam, I think it's like 20. Let me check how much it is. I think it's $20 or $30. So
$25.
$25. You can play a Western developed Soul Worker / Critica / all those kind of games, you know. By a
Instance Dungeon, Persistent Hub style games.
I
didn't know this was going to be free to play at launch. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it will be free to play at launch when it leaves early access, but I don't know when that is. So what do you think about this one? Are you hyped about this? I don't know.
I know nothing about this.
Yeah, it kind of flew under the radar, but it is up now. It's been up for a few days now.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of paying money for this. I'm so used to all these games being free to play. This concept of a game.
This is the problem with
Breach?
this.
Yeah.
Look, this game, it could be. I haven't played it. It could be more fluid than like Closer, Soul Worker, Critica, DFO, all those games, right? But here's the thing: all those games are free, right? So so I'm gonna wait until it's free. I don't see why I should play it until it's free.
It has 415 players on right now. It peaked at 635, and it just launched. So we'll see how those numbers hold up. And it's got a 6 out of 10 on Steam so far. But I'm gonna wait till it's free to play and then play it then. Because it's cool to see a Western developed game trying to do the whole DFO thing, but with the FPS and shooting elements too. Now, speaking of one last thing I want to cover. Speaking of the 6 out of 11 on review on Steam thing, did you hear about the Epic Games Store? They said they're gonna have one of the big concerns with the Epic Games Store is that you can actually the publishers themselves will be allowed to turn reviews off. How do you feel about that, Altay?
Turn reviews off.
So the review system will be opt-in.
I think it's okay as long as they can't go back and forth. Like they can't release it with they can't launch with the reviews on
and turn it off,
and then turn it off if things go negative. They gotta either launch, they gotta choose at launch whether they want reviews or not, and then they can never go back on that.
That's interesting because I think they did that. I think most of them wouldn't care, but I think as is, the assumption is they'll be able to pick if they want to turn it on or off.
That's stupid because then they could send free copies to shills, right? And then day one it'll say, "Oh, great game, great game, great game," and when all the shills I got it for free, it's like saying it's good. And then when the shit starts flowing in, they just turn it off. That's bad. Yeah,
but I feel like that's what's going to happen. I think the review system and right on the thing about Steam too is like right on your face. When you go to the Steam page, my eye usually goes to the first thing I look at. Like my eye will catch the video, right, and I'll quickly look at the score, mixed reviews, positive reviews, 6 out of 10, whatever it is, like the average reviews. I'll look at that first, and if it's like negative or like really low average reviews, I'm not gonna look at the video. I'll peace out. But if the Epic Store doesn't have that like in your face, I don't know. I still trust user reviews in general, even though we all know that shit gets manipulated all the time. Like Amazon reviews and shit are like not reliable. But for some reason, when I see like 10 out of 10, 10,000 plus reviews on Steam, that's my benchmark for a good game. If a game has like 10,000 plus positive reviews and it averages 10 out of 10 on Steam, I think it's a good game. Out of the park, I'll default assuming it'll be good. And so far, that has not let me down.
That's true. And most of the time, Steam reviews do get like brigaded sometimes, but most of the time, I think they're pretty accurate. I don't think it's a big issue.
And yeah, you do have to buy the game to be able to leave. It tells you you have to buy the game to release your review, so at least it's not as susceptible to bullshit as like Amazon reviews and stuff.
I wonder if they can maybe make it a little more selective. But then how is it fair? Who do you select? Which reviews do you accept and which one do you don't?
I mean, if you buy the game, I think everything should be free. If you buy the game, you should have to leave a review, and you can't hide your review.
But some people write like shill ones, or joke one, or meme ones. Like
the meme ones are the best ones.
I guess. Like,
I love the meme reviews. The meme reviews are usually positive anyway. So
I know, but for the community, it's funny, and but for the studio, it could be like annoying to see that show up, front and center.
Tough noogies, all right. You gotta deal with it, all right. Make a good game, you'll be fine. I think, and the meme reviews will be, if your game is, if it stand on its own two legs, the meme reviews will be, covered with plenty of positive ones or more legit ones. If all you have is meme reviews, there's another problem going on with your game.
I've seen Steam reviews where people bitch about not being able to run the game because they have like a piece of shit computer, right? And they look at the trailer, and it's an obviously like demanding game, right? It's not like Tibia. And then they complain that they can't run it. It's your fault if you have a piece of shit computer and everyone else is running and you can't run it.
I don't think usually if it's a system like requirement related issue, like usually the game just crashes or something. That's when they say like they can't run the game. If you have a toaster PC and you don't meet the minimum requirements, I don't think there's many reviews complaining about that.
Well, we'll see. I think Epic Games is going to end up subsidizing developers though. Because when they came up with their 88-12 split, they said we monitored how much it cost us to run Fortnite, right? The bandwidth, dealing with chargebacks, dealing with like security and hacks and stuff, right? So and they said, okay, 1288 makes sense for us based on our experience of running Fortnite. But here's the problem: Fortnite is made by competent people, right? It's their own game, it's their own everything. But they don't understand is when they start dealing with other developers, the developers are gonna bitch and moan. They're gonna complain. They're gonna want support. The players are gonna want support. They're gonna be stupid, right? And I think the cost involved, the customer support, all the tickets, all the refunds
and everything. Yeah,
it's gonna make them realize that maybe Steam wasn't so stupid or greedy after all for asking for what they're asked 30%.
30% still seems high. I think it still seems high.
Maybe, but I think the 12% Epic is charging is a promotional rate to get people on board, and they're not really factoring in all the costs involved.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think Steam having competition is a good thing, though, in general.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, I think they released some interesting stats too. I think for Fortnite, I think they said like over our player base, 50% of our player base doesn't even use Steam. So 50% of people that are playing Fortnite, which is like the biggest game in the world, they don't use Steam, and like, they don't even have Steam installed. Mm-hmm. So like there are such a big PC game market out there of Fortnite players that don't have Steam. So they even say like sometimes it's like when indie developers give out Steam keys to users, they're confused. Like they don't know where to put their Steam key. A lot of like casual gamers because they don't have Steam.
I don't think it's that. I think here's the case. I think Fortnite brought millions of new young gamers to the PC.
True.
So they weren't competing with. They didn't have Steam installed because they didn't play PC games before Fortnite. That's my guess.
Also, Galaxy, I think everyone knows Epic Games is, they're a one-hit wonder right now with Fortnite. I mean, the Unreal Engine has been a big success for them too, but nothing the same way. Not the same way Fortnite has been a big success. I mean, Epic Games are trying to have made games for a long time. They've had a lot of good early successes with like Unreal Tournament and stuff, but like before Fortnite, they were kind of like nothing. Fortnite kind of put them back on the radar. But now that they have, Fortnite, they are kind of a big deal. And obviously, a lot of that, I'm sure, is luck as well. The right timing to launch Fortnite worked out really well for them. After PUBG got the genre kind of popular.
All right. Well, I think that's it for me this week, Kamari.
All
Should
right.
we move on to the post game?
Let's move on to the post game.
All right. Sounds good. So keep on watching on Twitch, and we'll see you next week for YouTube.
All right. Take care, YouTube.